I chose to focus on the civil rights struggle, and the books that I selected are a culmination of the entire process that involved the progression of civil rights movement from slavery to the father of civil rights movement, Dr. Martin Luther King. The first book I chose was from a series entitled Famous Figures, the Civil Rights Era, Harriet Tubman, leader of the Underground Railroad. This biographical book tells the story of Harriet Tubman, who was born into slavery, but through great persecution, resilience, she escaped into the northern territories where blacks were free and gained her freedom. This book is an example of historical nonfiction. Here's a picture of the book. Here's a copy. There's illustrations inside of it. Shows Harriet as a young child. This is a good example that led up to the civil rights movement. The second book that I chose is also a biographical book entitled W.E.B. Du Bois and Race Relations by Seamus Cavan. Dr. Du Bois was an educator and a civil rights activist that was born during the post-Civil War era in Massachusetts. Dr. Du Bois was a highly educated black man that was on the forefront of the struggle of equality for black people and was a founding member of the NAACP. Dr. Du Bois' work would go on to inspire millions of blacks to strive for equality. Here's a copy of the book here. And you can find this in your local library. W.E.B. Du Bois and Racial Relations. It has pictures of him, and it's about the age group. It's between the ages of the third grade to the sixth grade, where they are starting to identify themselves racially. And these are good books to share with them. The next book is Rosa by Nikki Giovanni and illustrated by Brian Collier. Rosa is another biographical book that continues along with the theme of the civil rights. Rosa tells a story of a seamstress that fought against racial inequality by refusing to give up her seat on the bus. Her simple act of defiance leads to a nationwide boycott of buses, which eventually united all black people in the civil rights movement. Her arrest also leads to the introduction of a young preacher by the name of Martin Luther King. Here again is one of the books. This is Rosa by Giovanni, Nikki Giovanni. And the illustrations in the book are beautiful. Suggested reading. The next book is one of our readings. It was The Watsons Go to Birmingham. And of course, this also goes along with the theme of civil rights. And The Watsons Go to Birmingham, which is one of the books that introduced the young readers to the atrocities of racism in the 1960s. Unfortunately, I don't have that book because I returned it to the library. So I can't show it to you, but I'm sure you can find that book as well at your local library. Finally, I chose the book I've Seen the Promised Land, The Life of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. by Coretta Scott King. This book, with its colorful illustrations, tells the story of the beloved Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. As he leads the civil rights movement, he unites the black race in civil disobedience, which leads to his eventual death. And that death, of course, led to the equality for all blacks and all people in the United States of America. And here's his book. I'm sorry. Here's his book. And this was written by Coretta Scott King, so I think she'd have a little insight into his life story. I would like to encourage anyone who would like to share this type of information to a young audience between the ages of the third grade to the sixth grade, because this is very pertinent information and it applies to all Americans. Thank you very much for listening. I've had a great time in the class. God bless you and Godspeed.